As if the Pedro Pascal situation couldn't get any worse, well, it just did for the Fantastic Four press tour. Now, we already know that Fantastic Four, in and of itself, is a movie that's been heavily criticized for obvious reasons out there. There's a lot of Marvel fans that have some issues with the choices that they made, such as the casting of Reed Richards, or using Silver Surfer when it comes down to Shala Bal instead of Norrin Rad, and using her above all. What's interesting about all of this, though, has a lot more to do with Pedro Pascal going on yet another political tirade, and how this is only creating bigger issues not just for the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but for this movie in isolation. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new, and like this video to see future updates. You can also follow me at Mike01. I thank you also very much for the great and kind support. Now, one thing about Pedro Pascal is that I'm still surprised to this very day that he is still hired by the Disney company, that he is still connected to, of course, Marvel in general after going on rant after rant. And look, I think that we all know why they hire Pedro, is that, well, he's a guy that accepts almost any offer that he gets on the table when it comes down to a major role like this. Now, one thing is for sure is that we all saw how he reacted to The Last of Us Season 2, criticism coming from the fans of the hit video game and how it was adapted to live action on HBO. It failed miserably across the board for Season 2, and now you got him months later coming on board as Reed Richards, as Mr. Fantastic for the Fantastic Four. Let's get into the overall details about this because it gets worse. Now, I can only imagine what it's going to be like if, and I say if, this movie does not perform well at the box office. However, with the criticism still very much active toward the Fantastic Four, of course, film, Marvel fans, one thing is for certain is right now that Pedro Pascal is only making matters worse during the press tour for the film, where he recently went on yet another political tirade toward both Marvel fans and the public. Pedro recently delivered the following. Right now, we are living under an administration that feels like it's a necessity to strip away diversity, equity, and inclusion and LGBTQ rights in both film and television. And what's the result of this? Well, the answer to that question is the death of cinema. And it concerns me for the future of Marvel and where we go from here, because I think there are so many people out there, even Marvel fans, that are scared right now, witnessing things like DEI getting abolished. And let me tell you, getting this opportunity to be in the Marvel Universe and seeing how people like Kevin Feige are not backing down on those important issues, it really did lift my spirit in that sense. What's great about this Fantastic Four film is that yes, we do have a focus on gender politics and just how important that's going to be. And we do get somewhat political on this thing. There is an anagram there that I think Marvel fans will have fun to decipher. But look, this is the problem right now in our country. We have lost our freedom to express ourselves dearly. We don't have that freedom and openness anymore without feeling judged or ridiculed by those that follow a cult. I am very aware, more than anyone, that this is the film that I am receiving the most criticism for, if not for my politics, then for my casting as Mr. Fantastic and Reed Richards. And I just think Marvel fans need to read the comics already to really get a better understanding of the fact that my iteration is going to be comic accurate. Though our story shifts away from source material in various ways, whether minor or major, I am unwilling to confirm and deny that right now. I think some fans are going to nod their heads to some things that we do in this story. And without a doubt, to those that will have an issue with that choice, more often than not, they come from one side of the country following this idiotic administration that has left so many Americans scared and lost. To those criticizing a film before it even arrives, shame on you, because that's not what true fans do. We need to abolish this new era of celebrating failure. It's a terrible culture going on right now. It's sickening, really, and this not only has actually been creating more issues for film and how things should go, it's something I don't tolerate. And look, I get it, many people have an issue with my politics, but I'm an American and I will speak up and I will voice my concerns and I will not back down. Now guys, let me stop right there for one moment about Pedro Pascal before I move on from this. Now, look, the fact that he keeps doubling down on all of this nonsense, that people are scared, people are frightened, people are just, on edge about what's going on with DEI getting abolished and how it's vanishing before their very own eyes. Seems like that Pedro Pascal has a very big problem with that, right? And he's making that ultimately clear, and he doesn't really want to stand down on those comments. Now, he does confirm that Kevin Feige is not backing down on the typical Disney agenda, which is really not the best thing that you would want to say in the midst of a press tour for the Fantastic Four. But again, I mean, there you have it. I mean, Kevin Feige is not shifting away from all of that nonsense. If anything, they'll only water it down a little bit to make it less obvious, and that's about it. And Disney has been doing this here and there with a lot of movies. They already did that with Elio. You guys may recall we talked about how they dialed down on the LGBTQ agenda, and they stripped it from that story temporarily to kind of just create a facade that they are shifting away from DEI for the time being. But that's a Disney strategy, and we talked about that strategy that Bob Iger's up to behind closed doors. What's interesting here, though, about Pedro Pascal is that he is getting very much caught up with the politics and confirming that there is an element of gender politics in this story, and we talked about this as well. That was a major contributor to why a lot of test screenings were not working well in their favor in the early stages, and how it ultimately led to a lot of re-edits of the film and really dialing down on those gender politics. At first, it was going to be a major thing in the story. Now it's more or less of a minor thing in the story, but it's still there. So again, Pedro goes on to actually, confirm further, I am who I am. Nothing can change that. As for Fantastic Four, this is an iteration of those famous characters that will certainly be its own thing. In some ways, I think some people are just gonna have to, some people are gonna just refuse to accept that, but that's what we had to do to create something original. And by shifting a bit from source material, it was the greatest tool. So again, I mean, by shifting away from source material in his mind, in Bob Iger and Kevin Feige's minds, it creates a more original story, if you will, so to speak. And I think that's just wrong in a way. Look, I get it, a lot of people are going to have issues with some elements of the story. The fact that they are going on this constant trope, they are shifting away from some elements of source material in the Fantastic Four, really makes you wonder to yourselves, what are they really shifting away from? Is it something to do with Johnny? Is it something to do with Sue Storm? Does it have something to do with The Thing? I'm not quite sure. A lot of fans also had a lot of criticism based on the marketing strategy of this story, where you have The Thing absolutely refusing to say it's clobbering time, and we all know how it's going to play out. He's going to refuse to say it's clobbering time until the very tail end of the film. That's basically what they're going to do. They're going to build up to it, instead of him just doing it naturally, which is, I think, something that a lot of fans would want to see on the live screen there. What's interesting again, though, Pedro Pascal is getting caught up in politics. Politics do not deserve to be embedded and shoehorned in the marketing campaign of a movie, which, by the way, actual brand of Marvel that really hasn't been all that successful at all yet. Look, I like the first movies, alright, 2005, 2007, they were fun popcorn flicks. Fan 4 Stick, terrible movie back in 2015, I think it was. I like to call it Fan 4 Stick, by the way. But this movie really has to do well. And I would like to hear what you all have to say about this below in the comments. And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. And I will catch you guys later.